The contraction hit Mia Santos like a freight train, doubling her over in the passenger seat of Tyler's beat-up Honda. Moreover, her water had broken 20 minutes ago, and the baby was definitely coming today. "Can't you drive any faster?" she gasped, gripping the door handle. "I'm going as fast as I can," Tyler snapped, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. "Furthermore, this isn't my fault." Mia bit back her response. Nothing was ever Tyler's fault. Moreover, he'd made that crystal clear throughout her entire pregnancy. At 26, Mia had thought she was smart enough to avoid this situation. She'd been Adrian Kane's executive assistant for 3 years, earning good money and building a career. Furthermore, she'd been careful, responsible, focused. Then she'd met Tyler at a work party. Moreover, he'd been charming, fun, and everything her billionaire boss wasn't, available. "St. Mary's Hospital," Tyler announced, pulling into the emergency bay. "Furthermore, here we are." Another contraction seized Mia, stronger this time. "I think the baby's coming soon. Moreover, we need to hurry." "Right. Furthermore, let me just park the car and—" "Tyler, I need you now. Moreover, the car can wait." "Mia, be reasonable. Furthermore, I can't just leave it in the emergency lane." A nurse appeared with a wheelchair as Mia struggled out of the car. Moreover, she looked at Tyler expectantly. "Are you the father?" the nurse asked. Tyler's face went pale. Well, technically, yes, but—" "Then you need to come with us. Furthermore, your wife is in active labor." "We're not married," Tyler said quickly. "Moreover, I really should move the car first." The nurse looked between them with confusion. Furthermore, Mia felt humiliation burn through her as another contraction hit. "Tyler, please," she begged. "Moreover, I'm scared." "Look, Mia, maybe I should call your mom or something. Furthermore, this whole situation is it's a lot. My mother is dead. Moreover, you know that." "Right. Furthermore, well, someone should be here who actually knows about babies and stuff." The nurse was wheeling Mia toward the entrance. Moreover, Tyler was backing toward his car like she had a contagious disease. "Tyler," Mia called desperately. I'll call you later. Furthermore, once everything is handled." Mia watched in shock as Tyler got in his car and drove away. Moreover, he actually left her, in labor, alone. "Don't worry, honey," the nurse said gently. "Furthermore, lots of dads get overwhelmed. He'll be back." But Mia knew better. Moreover, Tyler wouldn't be back. He'd made his choice. In the labor and delivery room, Mia tried to focus on breathing exercises while nurses bustled around her. Furthermore, she'd never felt so alone in her life. "Do you have anyone else we can call?" Dr. Martinez asked kindly. "Furthermore, anyone who should be here with you?" Mia thought about her emergency contact forms. Moreover, she'd never updated them after starting to date Tyler. "My former boss," she said finally, "Adrian Kane. Furthermore, but he's probably busy. We'll call him. Moreover, what's his number?" Mia rattled off Adrian's private line, the number she'd memorized after 3 years of working for him. Furthermore, she doubted he'd even remember her now that she'd been gone for 4 months. 20 minutes later, the contractions were coming fast and hard. Moreover, Mia was approaching transition when the labor room door burst open. Adrian Kane strode in like an avenging angel. At 35, Adrian was everything Tyler wasn't: powerful, successful, and devastatingly handsome. Moreover, his presence commanded every room he entered. "Where is he?" Adrian demanded, his gray eyes blazing with fury. "Who?" Dr. Martinez asked, startled. "The father. Furthermore, where is the man who should be here supporting her?" He left," Mia whispered, embarrassed. Adrian went completely still. Moreover, the temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. "He left you? Furthermore, alone, in labor?" "It's not your problem, Adrian. Moreover, I shouldn't have had them call you." Adrian moved to her bedside, his expression shifting from fury to fierce protectiveness. Furthermore, he took her hand in his strong, warm grasp. "Mia, look at me. She met his eyes, seeing something there that took her breath away. Moreover, it looked like he actually cared. You're not alone anymore. Furthermore, I'm here now. But Adrian, no buts. Moreover, no arguments. You're mine now, Mia. Both of you. The possessive declaration sent shivers through Mia's exhausted body. Furthermore, she realized that Adrian Kane had just claimed her and her unborn baby. What does that mean? She gasped through another contraction. It means I'm not going anywhere. Moreover, it means I'll take care of you both. It means that worthless boy just made the biggest mistake of his life. Adrian's hand tightened on hers. Furthermore, his presence made everything feel safer somehow. I can't ask you to. You're not asking. Furthermore, I'm telling you. From this moment on, you and this baby are under my protection. Dr. Martinez cleared her throat. Mr. Kane. Adrian Kane. Furthermore, I'm here for her. Well, Mr. Kane, the baby is coming very soon. Moreover, if you're planning to stay, you should wash up. Adrian looked at Mia with something that might have been wonder. Do you want me to stay? Furthermore, do you want me here for the birth? Mia stared into his eyes and saw her future reflected there. Moreover, she saw safety, protection, and something that looked like love. Yes, she whispered. Furthermore, please don't leave me. Never, Adrian said fiercely. Moreover, I'll never leave you. As Adrian scrubbed in to witness the birth of a child that wasn't biologically his, Mia realized that sometimes the right man had been there all along. Moreover, sometimes it took a crisis to reveal what had always been true.
Hey lovelies, where are you listening from? Welcome to another episode of Ever After. Before the story begin, hit the like button and subscribe. It means a lot to me. Now let the story begin. Enjoy.
Chapter 1. The Billionaire's Claim. 2 hours later, Mia held her perfect baby girl while Adrian sat beside her hospital bed, looking like he'd been poleaxed by emotion. Moreover, he hadn't taken his eyes off either of them since baby Emma had made her entrance into the world. She's beautiful, Adrian said quietly, his voice rough with feeling. She is. Moreover, she looks so perfect. Just like her mother. The simple words made Mia's heart race. Furthermore, she looked up to find Adrian watching her with an intensity that took her breath away. Adrian, I need to ask you something. Anything. Why did you come? Moreover, why did you drop everything to be here? Adrian was quiet for a long moment. Furthermore, when he spoke, his voice was carefully controlled. Because when I got the call that you were in labor and alone, I realized something I should have acknowledged years ago. What? That I've been in love with you since the day you started working for me. Moreover, that letting you walk away 4 months ago was the biggest mistake of my life. Mia's breath caught. Adrian, I know this isn't the time or place for declarations. Furthermore, I know you just went through hell. But I need you to understand something. What? That bastard walked away from the two most precious things in the world. Moreover, I won't make the same mistake. What are you saying? Adrian stood and moved to the window, his shoulders tense. I'm saying that I want to take care of you both. Furthermore, I want to give you everything he couldn't. Like what? Like a home, security, protection. Moreover, like a family. Mia's eyes filled with tears. Adrian, you don't owe me anything. Furthermore, this isn't your responsibility. You're right. Moreover, it's not my responsibility. It's my privilege. He turned back to face her, his expression fierce with determination. Mia, I'm not asking you to marry me right now. Furthermore, I'm not asking you to love me back. I'm asking you to let me be what he couldn't be. Which is a real man. Moreover, someone who protects what's precious instead of running from it. Before Mia could respond, a nurse knocked on the door. Furthermore, Ms. Santos, there's a Tyler Harrison here asking to see you. Should I send him in? Adrian's expression turned murderous. No. Adrian, Mia said weakly. No, Mia. Furthermore, he made his choice. He doesn't get to waltz back in now that the hard part is over. But he's Emma's father. Biologically, maybe. Furthermore, but being a father means more than DNA. It means being there when things get difficult. The nurse looked uncertain. What should I tell him? Tell him Ms. Santos is not accepting visitors. Moreover, tell him if he wants to discuss anything regarding the baby, he can contact my lawyers. Your lawyers? Mia asked. I'm handling this, Mia. Furthermore, you don't need to deal with his drama while you're recovering. But Adrian, trust me. Moreover, please, let me handle Tyler. Mia looked down at baby Emma, who was sleeping peacefully in her arms. Furthermore, she thought about Tyler's abandonment, his weakness, his complete inability to step up when she needed him most. Then she looked at Adrian, who had dropped everything to be here. Moreover, who had held her hand through the hardest moments of her life. Okay, she said quietly. Okay? Okay, I trust you. Furthermore, handle Tyler however you think is best. Adrian's face transformed with relief and something deeper. Thank you. Moreover, you won't regret this. What happens now? Now you rest. Furthermore, tomorrow we'll discuss practical matters. Like what? Like where you and Emma will live. Moreover, like making sure you both have everything you need. Adrian, I can't accept charity. It's not charity, Mia. Furthermore, it's an investment in my future. What future? Adrian moved back to her bedside and gently touched Emma's tiny hand. Moreover, his expression was softer than Mia had ever seen it. The future where you and Emma are my family. Furthermore, the future where I get to watch her grow up and teach her that she deserves a man who will never walk away. And if she asks about her biological father, we'll tell her the truth. Moreover, that he wasn't ready to be the father she deserved, so the universe sent her someone who was. Mia felt tears streaming down her face. Adrian, this is crazy. Furthermore, you're talking about raising another man's child. I'm talking about raising my daughter. Moreover, because that's what she'll be if you'll let me. How can you be so sure? Because I fell in love with her the moment she took her first breath. Furthermore, because I fell in love with you long before that. Adrian leaned down and kissed Mia's forehead gently. Moreover, the tender gesture felt like a promise. Sleep now. Furthermore, when you wake up, we'll start planning the rest of our lives. As Adrian settled into the chair beside her bed, clearly planning to keep watch all night, Mia realized that sometimes love comes in the most unexpected moments. Moreover, sometimes the right man proves himself not by what he says, but by what he does when everything falls apart. For the first time in months, Mia felt completely safe. Moreover, she felt like she and Emma were exactly where they belonged. Chapter 2. First night together. The next morning, Adrian appeared with enough baby supplies to stock a nursery store. Moreover, he'd somehow managed to arrange for Mia and Emma's discharge in record time. Where are we going? Mia asked as Adrian loaded their things into his Tesla. Home. Furthermore, I've had my housekeeper prepare the guest wing for you and Emma. Adrian, I have an apartment. You had an apartment. Furthermore, I've arranged for your things to be moved to storage until we decide what you want to keep. Mia stared at him. You can't just reorganize my entire life. Watch me. Moreover, you and Emma need proper care, and I'm going to make sure you get it. But I barely know you outside of work. Then we'll get to know each other. Furthermore, we have all the time in the world. Adrian's penthouse was even more magnificent than Mia remembered from the occasional business dinner she'd organized. Moreover, the guest wing was larger than her entire former apartment. This is too much, she protested as Adrian showed her the bedroom suite. Look at this, he said, opening the door to the adjoining room. Mia gasped. Overnight, Adrian had transformed the space into a perfect nursery. Moreover, everything was exactly what she would have chosen. Soft pastels, quality furniture, and every possible baby item. How did you? I called in some favors. Furthermore, Emma deserves the best of everything. Adrian, this must have cost a fortune. Money is just a tool, Mia. Furthermore, it's worthless if I can't use it to take care of the people I love. That evening, as Mia fed Emma in the nursery's comfortable rocking chair, Adrian appeared with dinner on a tray. Moreover, he'd somehow acquired homecoming flowers and her favorite tea. "You don't have to wait on me," Mia said softly. "I want to. Furthermore, taking care of you both is my job now. Your job? My privilege. Moreover, my greatest honor." Adrian sat in the chair across from her, watching Emma nurse with fascination. Furthermore, his expression was so tender that Mia's heart ached. "Have you ever wanted children?" she asked. "I never thought about it before. Moreover, my life was all business all the time. And now? Now I can't imagine anything more important than this. Furthermore, than watching you be an amazing mother. I don't know if I'm amazing. Moreover, I feel like I'm making everything up as I go. That's what all good parents do. Furthermore, you have incredible instincts, Mia." When Emma finished eating, Adrian stood immediately. "Let me burp her. Moreover, you should rest." Mia watched in amazement as Adrian confidently held Emma against his shoulder, gently patting her back. Furthermore, he moved like he'd been caring for babies his entire life. "You're a natural," she said with wonder. "She makes it easy. Moreover, she's perfect. Adrian, can I ask you something?" "Anything." "Why me? Furthermore, you could have any woman you want. Why choose someone else's baby in all this complication?" Adrian settled Emma back in Mia's arms and sat down again. Moreover, his expression grew serious. "Do you remember your first day working for me?" "Of course. Furthermore, I was terrified I'd mess something up. You wore a blue dress. Moreover, you had your hair in a bun and you were so nervous your hands were shaking. You remember what I wore? I remember everything about that day. Furthermore, I remember thinking that you were the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen. Adrian. I also remember thinking that I couldn't get involved with an employee. Moreover, that it would be wrong to pursue someone who worked for me. So you didn't. So I tortured myself for 3 years. Furthermore, I watched you date other men and told myself it was for the best. I had no idea. You weren't supposed to. Moreover, I was very careful to hide my feelings. But you could have said something after I quit. I thought you quit because of Tyler. Furthermore, I thought you were building a life with him." Mia's heart ached. "I quit because working for you was becoming too difficult. Moreover, because I was falling in love with you, and it was hopeless." Adrian went completely still. "What did you say?" "I said I was falling in love with you. Furthermore, I thought you saw me as just an efficient assistant. You were falling in love with me? Every single day. Moreover, watching you work, seeing your intelligence and dedication, it was impossible not to love you. Then why Tyler?" Mia looked down at Emma, shame flooding her cheeks. "Because he was available. Furthermore, because he wanted me and you seemed completely uninterested. I was interested. Moreover, I was desperately interested. I just thought I was protecting you. From what? From me. Furthermore, from my world. From all the complications that come with loving someone like me. And now," Adrian reached over and gently touched Emma's cheek. "Now I realize that loving someone means claiming them completely. Moreover, it means protecting them from everyone except yourself. Even if they come with a baby? Especially if they come with a baby. Furthermore, because that baby needs a father who will never abandon her. And you want to be that father? I want to be everything to both of you. Moreover, I want to be the family you both deserve." As the evening wore on, Adrian proved his words with actions. Moreover, he changed diapers, heated bottles, and rocked Emma to sleep with natural ease. "You're going to spoil her," Mia observed as Adrian sang softly to the baby. "Good. Furthermore, she should be spoiled. She should know she's precious." And what about me? Adrian looked up with heat in his eyes. You should know you're precious too. Moreover, you should know that I plan to spend the rest of my life proving it. As they settled into domestic routines that felt surprisingly natural, Mia realized that Adrian Kane was nothing like she'd expected. Moreover, he was everything she'd never dared to dream of. Chapter 3. Playing House. 1 week into their new living arrangement, Mia woke at 3 a.m. to the sound of Emma crying. Moreover, she stumbled toward the nursery, still exhausted from the previous night's feeding schedule. But when she opened the nursery door, she found Adrian already there, walking Emma back and forth while speaking to her in soothing tones. Furthermore, he was wearing only pajama pants and looked impossibly handsome in the soft lamplight. "Shh, sweetheart," he murmured to Emma. "Moreover, Mommy needs her sleep. Let's see if we can settle you down." "Adrian," Mia said softly. "Furthermore, you don't have to do the night feedings." "I want to. Moreover, go back to bed. I've got this." "But you have work tomorrow." "Work will wait. Furthermore, Emma needs me now." Mia watched in amazement as Adrian continued his gentle pacing. Moreover, within minutes, Emma had settled back to sleep. "How did you do that?" Mia whispered. "Practice. Furthermore, we've been having these little midnight conversations all week." "You've been getting up every night?" "Most nights. Moreover, you need your rest more than I do." Adrian carefully placed Emma back in her crib and turned to face Mia. Furthermore, in the dim light, with his hair mussed and his chest bare, he looked less like a billionaire CEO and more like a father. "Adrian, you can't keep this up. Moreover, you'll exhaust yourself." "I'm not exhausted. Furthermore, I've never felt more energized in my life." "But your business is running perfectly fine without my constant attention. Moreover, I've learned that there are more important things than quarterly reports." "Like what?" "Like watching Emma discover her fingers. Moreover, like seeing you smile when you think no one is looking." The intimate words made Mia's heart race. Furthermore, standing in the nursery at 3 a.m. felt more romantic than any candlelit dinner ever had. "Mia," Adrian said quietly, moving closer. "Yes?" "Can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Are you happy here? Furthermore, do you feel comfortable with this arrangement?" Mia considered the question. Over the past week, Adrian had been nothing but respectful, generous, and incredibly attentive to both her and Emma. Moreover, he'd made their life together feel natural and right. "Yes," she said honestly. "Furthermore, I feel safer than I have in months." "Good. Moreover, because I want you to think of this as home." "For how long?" "For as long as you'll have me. Furthermore, preferably forever." The word forever hung between them like a promise. Moreover, Mia realized that somewhere between labor pains and midnight feedings, her feelings for Adrian had evolved from gratitude to something much deeper. "Adrian, I know it's soon. Furthermore, I know we're still figuring this out. But I need you to know how I feel." "How do you feel?" "Like I found my purpose. Moreover, like everything in my life led me to this moment, to you and Emma. We're not your responsibility. You're not my responsibility. Furthermore, you're my choice. Every day I choose you both." Before Mia could respond, Adrian's phone buzzed with an urgent text. Moreover, his expression grew concerned as he read it. "What's wrong?" Mia asked. "Tyler's been calling my office. Furthermore, he's demanding to see Emma." Mia's stomach clenched with anxiety. "What does he want?" "I don't know. Moreover, but we're going to find out tomorrow." "Tomorrow?" "I've arranged a meeting. Furthermore, you, me, Tyler, and our lawyers." "Our lawyers?" "Mia, I need to ask you something important. Moreover, I need you to think carefully before you answer." "What?" "Would you let me adopt Emma? Furthermore, would you let me be her legal father?" Mia's breath caught. "Adrian, I know it's a big decision. Moreover, I know it means cutting Tyler's parental rights completely." But what if he fights it? Then we'll fight back. Furthermore, I have better lawyers, and I can prove abandonment. And if we win, then Emma becomes mine legally. Moreover, then no one can ever take her away from us. The possessive words sent shivers through Mia. Furthermore, she realized that Adrian wasn't just offering protection, he was offering permanence. What about us? She asked quietly. Furthermore, what happens between you and me? Adrian moved closer, his eyes intense. What do you want to happen between us? I want... Mia struggled for words. Furthermore, I want what we had before Emma was born. Which was? That moment in the hospital when you said I was yours. Moreover, I want that to be real. It is real, Mia. Furthermore, it's been real since the moment I walked into that labor room. Then yes. Yes? Yes, I want you to adopt Emma. Moreover, yes. I want you to be her father. And yes to us? Mia looked into Adrian's eyes and saw her future reflected there. Furthermore, she saw love, protection, and the family she'd always dreamed of. Yes to us. Moreover, yes to everything. Adrian cupped her face in his hands and kissed her for the first time. Furthermore, it was soft, tender, and full of promise. I love you, Mia. Moreover, I love you both more than I thought it was possible to love. I love you too. Furthermore, I think I've loved you since that first day in the blue dress. As they held each other in Emma's nursery, surrounded by the life they were building together, Mia knew that sometimes the worst moments lead to the most beautiful outcomes. Moreover, sometimes losing everything helps you find what truly matters. Chapter 4. Confessions in the Dark. The meeting with Tyler was scheduled for the following afternoon, but neither Mia nor Adrian could sleep. Furthermore, they found themselves in the kitchen at 2 a.m., sharing tea while Emma slept peacefully upstairs. Tell me about him, Adrian said quietly. Furthermore, tell me how you ended up with Tyler. Mia wrapped her hands around her mug, gathering courage. It was at the company Christmas party. Moreover, do you remember? You had to leave early for that emergency in Tokyo. I remember. Furthermore, I hated leaving you to handle everything alone. Tyler was there as someone's plus one. Moreover, he was charming, funny, and he paid attention to me. Unlike your oblivious boss. You weren't oblivious, Adrian. Furthermore, you were professional. I was the one reading too much into every interaction. Adrian's jaw tightened. What interactions? Working late together. Moreover, the way you'd bring me coffee when I was stressed. The way you'd ask about my weekend plans. I was trying to take care of you without crossing lines. I know that now. Furthermore, but at the time I thought you were just being a considerate employer. So you gave up on me. I gave up on a fantasy. Moreover, Tyler offered something real, or so I thought. When did you realize he wasn't what you needed? Mia was quiet for a long moment. The first time I mentioned wanting children someday. Furthermore, his face went white and he changed the subject immediately. But you kept dating him. I thought he'd come around. Moreover, I thought if he loved me enough, he'd want a family with me. And when you got pregnant? He panicked. Furthermore, he started talking about options, about how we weren't ready, about how a baby would ruin our lives. Adrian's hands clenched into fists. He wanted you to terminate the pregnancy? He suggested it. Moreover, when I refused, he became distant and resentful. But he stayed? Physically, yes. Furthermore, emotionally, he checked out completely. He acted like the pregnancy was something happening to me, not us. I'm sorry, Mia. Moreover, you deserved so much better. I know that now. Furthermore, sitting here with you, seeing how you've embraced Emma, it's like night and day. Because she's easy to love. Moreover, she's part of you. The simple words made Mia's heart ache with gratitude. Furthermore, she realized that Adrian saw Emma not as a burden or complication, but as an extension of his love for Mia. Can I ask you something? Mia said. Anything. That night at the Christmas party, after Tyler approached me, did you notice? Moreover, did you care? Adrian was quiet for so long that Mia thought he wouldn't answer. Furthermore, when he spoke, his voice was rough with emotion. I noticed everything. Moreover, I watched him make you laugh, watched you dance with him, watched you leave the party together. And I went home and drank half a bottle of scotch. Moreover, I seriously considered firing him just so you'd never see him again. Adrian. I was jealous, Mia. Furthermore, insanely, irrationally jealous of a man I'd never even met. Why didn't you say something? Because you looked happy. Moreover, because I thought he could give you things I couldn't. Like what? Like a normal relationship. Furthermore, like a man who wasn't married to his work. But you're not married to your work anymore. No. Furthermore, I'm about to be married to you. The words slipped out before Adrian could stop them. Moreover, Mia's eyes widened with shock. That is, Adrian continued quickly, if you'll have me. Furthermore, if you want to make this arrangement permanent. Are you proposing to me? I'm asking if you'd consider it. Moreover, I'm asking if you could see yourself building a real life with me. Adrian, we've only been living together for a week. I've been in love with you for 3 years. Furthermore, this week has just confirmed what I already knew, which is that you're the woman I want to wake up next to every morning. Moreover, that Emma is the daughter I want to raise. That this, us, together, is the family I never knew I needed. Mia stared into his eyes and saw her own feelings reflected there. Furthermore, she saw a future that was better than any dream she'd ever had. Yes, she said quietly. Yes? Yes, I could see myself building a real life with you. Moreover, yes, I want to make this permanent. Adrian stood and moved around the table to pull her into his arms. Furthermore, when he kissed her this time, it was deeper, more passionate, full of promise and possession. I love you, he murmured against her lips. Moreover, I love the family we're creating together. I love you too. Furthermore, I love that you chose us when you could have chosen anyone. There is no choice, Mia. Moreover, there's only you. There's only this. They held each other in the quiet kitchen, both knowing that tomorrow would bring challenges. Furthermore, both knowing that they'd face whatever came together. Adrian? Mia said softly. Yes? What if Tyler fights the adoption? Moreover, what if he tries to take Emma? Then he'll discover what happens when someone threatens my family. Moreover, he'll learn that I don't fight fair when it comes to protecting what's mine. The possessive words should have frightened Mia. Instead, they made her feel safer than she'd ever felt in her life. Moreover, she realized that Adrian Kane would move heaven and earth to protect her and Emma. Will you stay with me tonight? She asked. Furthermore, just to sleep. I don't want to be alone. I'll stay with you every night for the rest of our lives. Moreover, you'll never be alone again. As they made their way upstairs together, Mia realized that sometimes the worst betrayal leads to the greatest blessing. Moreover, sometimes losing the wrong man helps you find the right one. Tomorrow, they would face Tyler together. Furthermore, tomorrow they would begin the legal process of becoming a real family. But tonight they would hold each other and dream of the future they were building. Chapter 5. Making it official. The conference room at Adrian's law firm felt like a battlefield. Moreover, Tyler sat across from them with his own attorney looking sullen and defensive. Mr. Harrison, Adrian's lawyer began, my client is prepared to offer you a very generous settlement in exchange for relinquishing all parental rights to Emma Santos. Tyler's eyes lit up at the mention of money. How generous. Tyler, Mia said, shocked. Furthermore, we're talking about your daughter. Our daughter that you've kept from me for over a week, Tyler shot back. Moreover, our daughter that you're trying to replace me with some rich guy. I didn't keep her from you. Furthermore, you abandoned us. I needed time to think. You ran away. Mia's voice cracked with emotion. Moreover, you left me alone and terrified. Adrian's hand closed over hers, steadying her. Mr. Harrison, let's focus on facts. Furthermore, you left Ms. Santos during active labor. You haven't contacted her since the birth. You've shown no interest in your daughter's welfare. That's not true. Moreover, I've been trying to figure out how to be a good father. By disappearing? Adrian's voice was ice cold. Furthermore, by forcing the mother of your child to put you on a visitor restriction list. Tyler's lawyer whispered something in his ear. Furthermore, Tyler's expression grew crafty. I want visitation rights. Moreover, I want to be part of Emma's life. No, Adrian said immediately. You don't get to decide that. Furthermore, I'm her biological father. You're a sperm donor. Moreover, being a father requires actually being present. Mr. Kane, Tyler's lawyer interjected, my client has rights. Your client has forfeited his rights. Furthermore, abandonment is grounds for termination of parental rights in this state. We'll fight that. Moreover, Tyler was overwhelmed, not abandoning. Adrian leaned forward, his expression dangerous. Fight it. Furthermore, please, give me the pleasure of destroying you in court. Adrian, Mia said quietly. Maybe we should hear his offer. Tyler straightened hopefully. I want joint custody. Furthermore, alternating weekends and holidays. Absolutely not, Adrian said flatly. Why not? Moreover, I'm her father. Because you'll disappoint her. Furthermore, because you'll let her down when she needs you most. Because you're exactly the kind of man I'll spend her life teaching her to avoid. Tyler's face flushed red. You can't just buy your way into my family. I'm not buying anything. Moreover, I'm claiming what's already mine. She's not yours. Emma is mine. Furthermore, Mia is mine. They became mine the moment you walked away. The possessive declaration sent shivers through Mia. Moreover, she realized that Adrian meant every word. This is ridiculous, Tyler stood abruptly. Furthermore, I'll see you in court. I'll prove that you're just some rich guy trying to steal my family. Try it, Adrian said softly. Furthermore, I'll enjoy watching you fail. Tyler and his lawyer left in a huff. Moreover, Mia felt herself shaking with leftover adrenaline. He's really going to fight this? She asked. He'll try. Furthermore, but he won't win. How can you be so sure? Because I have resources he doesn't. Moreover, because I have evidence of abandonment that's irrefutable. Adrian's lawyer nodded approvingly. Hospital records, witness statements, and your own testimony will be powerful. Furthermore, Mr. Harrison doesn't have a case. What happens now? Mia asked. Now we file for adoption proceedings. Moreover, we prepare for a custody battle. And us? Adrian turned to face her fully. Us? Our relationship. Furthermore, won't Tyler's lawyer try to paint you as some kind of predator, taking advantage of a vulnerable new mother? Let them try. Moreover, I have a better story to tell. Which is, that I've been in love with you for years. Furthermore, that Emma's birth gave me the courage to finally claim what I should have claimed long ago. Adrian reached into his jacket and pulled out a small velvet box. Moreover, Mia's heart stopped completely. Adrian, what are you doing? What I should have done 3 years ago. Furthermore, what I should have done the moment you walked into my office in that blue dress. He dropped to one knee right there in the conference room. Moreover, his lawyer smiled and discreetly stepped outside. Mia Santos, will you marry me? Furthermore, will you let me be Emma's father and your husband? Adrian, I know it's fast. Moreover, I know we're doing everything backwards. But I also know that I love you completely and want to spend the rest of my life proving it. What about Tyler? Furthermore, what about the custody battle? We'll face it together. Moreover, as a married couple, as a family. We'll show the court that Emma belongs with parents who chose her, not someone who abandoned her. Mia looked at the ring, a perfect solitaire that caught the light like captured starlight. Moreover, she looked at Adrian's face and saw her entire future reflected there. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes? Yes, I'll marry you. Furthermore, yes, I want you to be Emma's father." Adrian slipped the ring onto her finger and stood to kiss her. Moreover, when their lips met, it felt like a promise of forever. "I love you, future Mrs. Kane. I love you too. Furthermore, I love the family we're building together." "Speaking of which," Adrian said with a smile, "I have some news." "What news?" "I've arranged for us to be married this weekend. Furthermore, before the custody hearing, I want Emma to legally be ours before Tyler can object." "This weekend? Moreover, but that's so soon." "Too soon?" Mia thought about all the reasons to wait. Furthermore, then she thought about all the reasons not to. "No, moreover, not soon enough. Let's make it official." As they left the law firm hand in hand, Mia realized that sometimes the best families are the ones you choose, not the ones you're born into. Moreover, sometimes the right man proves himself by fighting for you when you can't fight for yourself. Chapter 6. Baby Daddy Returns. 3 days before their planned wedding, Tyler showed up at Adrian's penthouse unannounced. Moreover, he'd somehow convinced the doorman to let him up by claiming to be Emma's father. Mia was feeding Emma in the living room when Tyler burst through the elevator doors. Furthermore, his appearance was disheveled and desperate. "Tyler," Mia gasped, instinctively pulling Emma closer. "Furthermore, how did you get in here?" "I told them I'm the baby's father. Moreover, I have rights." "You have no rights here. Furthermore, you need to leave immediately." "I'm not leaving without my daughter." Adrian appeared from his office like an avenging angel. Moreover, his expression was murderous as he took in the scene. "You have exactly 10 seconds to get out of my home," Adrian said quietly. "Furthermore, then I call security. This isn't over, Kane. Moreover, you can't just steal my family." "I didn't steal anything. Furthermore, you threw it away." Tyler's eyes were wild, desperate. "I made a mistake, okay? Moreover, I panicked. But I'm ready to be a father now." "Now?" Mia stood, still holding Emma protectively. "Furthermore, now that you've realized what you lost?" "I love you, Mia. Moreover, I love our baby. We can make this work." "No, we can't. Furthermore, I don't love you anymore, Tyler." "Because of him?" Tyler pointed accusingly at Adrian. "Furthermore, because some rich guy bought you expensive things?" "Because he was there when you weren't. Moreover, because he chose us when you ran away." "I'm choosing you now." "Too late," Adrian said coldly. "Furthermore, you had your chance and you blew it." Tyler's desperation turned to rage. "You think you can just buy your way into my life? Moreover, you think money makes you a better man? I think being there makes me a better man. Furthermore, I think not abandoning the woman I love in labor makes me a better man. She was never yours. She's mine now. Moreover, Emma is mine now. You gave up all claim to them." Tyler lunged toward Adrian, but Adrian was ready. Moreover, he caught Tyler's swing easily and twisted his arm behind his back. "Security," Adrian called out. 2 guards appeared from the stairwell within seconds. Furthermore, they'd obviously been waiting nearby. "Escort Mr. Harrison out. Moreover, he's not to be allowed back in the building." "This isn't over," Tyler shouted as the guards restrained him. "Furthermore, I'll see you in court. I'll prove you manipulated her. Good luck with that. Moreover, the truth has a way of winning." After Tyler was removed, Mia sank onto the couch, shaking. Furthermore, Emma was crying from all the commotion. "Are you all right?" Adrian asked, immediately moving to comfort them both. "I'm scared. Moreover, what if he really fights this in court? Then we'll destroy him legally. Furthermore, I've been gathering evidence since the day Emma was born." What kind of evidence? Hospital records showing his abandonment. Moreover, witness statements from nurses who saw him leave. Financial records showing he's never contributed to Emma's care. But what if... Mia, look at me. She met his intense gaze. Furthermore, she saw absolute certainty there. Tyler Harrison will never take Emma from us. Moreover, I promise you that. I will use every resource at my disposal to protect our family. Even if it costs a fortune? Even if it costs everything I have. Furthermore, you and Emma are worth more than money. That evening, Adrian's lawyer called with disturbing news. Furthermore, Tyler had indeed filed for emergency custody, claiming that Adrian was an unfit guardian. He's alleging that you coerced Mia into this relationship, the lawyer explained. Moreover, he's claiming emotional manipulation and financial control. That's ridiculous, Mia said immediately. Furthermore, Adrian has never coerced me into anything. We know that, moreover, but we need to be prepared for his claims. What kind of claims? Adrian asked grimly. That you isolated Mia from friends and family. Furthermore, that you're using your wealth to control her decisions. I don't have friends and family to be isolated from, Mia said bitterly. Moreover, Adrian gave me the first real family I've ever had. That's what we'll argue. Furthermore, but Tyler's lawyer is painting a picture of predatory behavior. Adrian's jaw tightened dangerously. What else? He's claiming that your quick engagement proves you're manipulating a vulnerable new mother. Moreover, he's requesting a psychological evaluation for both of you. Fine, Adrian said immediately. Furthermore, we have nothing to hide. There's more. Moreover, he's threatening to go to the media. The media? He wants to paint this as a story about a billionaire stealing a baby. Furthermore, he thinks public pressure will help his case. Mia felt sick. He's going to destroy our privacy. Moreover, he's going to make Emma's birth into a circus. Not if I destroy him first, Adrian said quietly. Adrian, you can't. I can, and I will. Furthermore, Tyler Harrison has no idea who he's threatening. The lawyer looked concerned. Mr. Kane, we need to handle this through legal channels. I am handling it through legal channels. Moreover, I'm also handling it through every other channel available to me. What does that mean? It means Tyler Harrison is about to discover that some fights are too expensive to win. Furthermore, some enemies are too powerful to challenge. As Adrian made plans to protect his family, Mia realized that she'd never seen him truly angry before. Moreover, she realized that Tyler had just made the biggest mistake of his life. Chapter 7. Media Storm. The story broke on a Tuesday morning with the headline, Billionaire Steals Baby, Adrian Kane's Twisted Love Triangle. Furthermore, Tyler had sold his story to every tabloid that would listen. Mia stared at her phone in horror as notifications flooded in. Moreover, photos of her and Emma leaving the hospital were splashed across gossip websites. How did they get these pictures? She asked Adrian, who was pacing the living room like a caged predator. Tyler provided them. Furthermore, he's been planning this character assassination for weeks. The articles painted Adrian as a predatory billionaire who'd swooped in to claim a vulnerable new mother. Moreover, they portrayed Mia as either a gold digger or a victim, depending on which narrative sold better. Listen to this, Mia read from her phone. Sources close to the situation claim Kane has isolated Santos from all outside contact, controlling her finances and decisions. Moreover, the rushed engagement appears to be a desperate attempt to solidify his claim on both mother and child. Sources, Adrian spat. Furthermore, meaning Tyler and whatever lies he's willing to sell. Adrian, this is terrible. Moreover, everyone will think I'm some kind of opportunist. No one who matters thinks that. Furthermore, the people who love us know the truth. But what about Emma? Moreover, what happens when she's old enough to read these stories about her birth? Adrian stopped pacing and pulled Mia into his arms. Emma will know the truth. Furthermore, she'll know that her mother is the strongest, most loving woman in the world. And what about you? Moreover, this has to be damaging your business reputation. My business will survive. Furthermore, my family is more important than my reputation. The phone rang before Mia could respond. Furthermore, Adrian's expression darkened as he answered. What do you mean they're outside the building? He barked into the phone. Mia moved to the window and gasped. Moreover, a crowd of photographers and reporters had gathered on the street below. We can't leave, she said faintly. Furthermore, they'll follow us everywhere. Not for long. Moreover, I'm ending this today. How? By telling our story. Furthermore, by making sure everyone knows exactly what kind of man Tyler Harrison really is. Adrian made several phone calls while Mia tried to process their new reality. Moreover, within an hour, his publicist arrived with a crisis management plan. We're going to control the narrative, she explained. Furthermore, we're going to give them a story they can't resist. What kind of story? Mia asked nervously. A love story. Moreover, the truth about how you two really got together. But that will expose everything. Furthermore, our relationship, Emma's birth, all of it. It's already exposed. Moreover, now we get to tell the real version. That afternoon, Adrian held a press conference in his office building. Furthermore, Mia stood beside him, holding Emma as he faced the cameras. I'm here to address the recent media coverage, Adrian began, his voice calm and authoritative. Moreover, I want to set the record straight about my relationship with Mia Santos. The reporters leaned forward eagerly. Furthermore, Adrian's next words silenced the room completely. I've been in love with Mia for 3 years. Furthermore, she worked as my assistant and I was too professional to act on my feelings. When did your relationship become romantic? A reporter called out. The night Emma was born. Moreover, when I received a call that Mia was in labor and alone. Alone? Emma's biological father abandoned them at the hospital. Furthermore, he left a woman in active labor because he was too cowardly to handle the responsibility. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Moreover, Adrian's calm recitation of facts was more damaging than any emotional outburst. Are you saying Tyler Harrison abandoned his pregnant girlfriend? I'm saying Tyler Harrison left the hospital while Mia was giving birth. Furthermore, he hasn't contributed a single dollar to Emma's care since her birth. But he's claiming you manipulated Ms. Santos. Tyler Harrison is claiming many things. Moreover, none of them are true. The only thing I'm guilty of is loving a woman who deserved better than the man who abandoned her. Ms. Santos, another reporter called out, is it true that Mr. Kane isolated you from friends and family? Mia stepped forward, her voice steady despite her nerves. I don't have friends and family to be isolated from. Moreover, Adrian gave me the first real family I've ever known. What about the financial control allegations? Adrian has never controlled my finances. Furthermore, he's provided for Emma and me because Tyler refused to. Are you marrying him for his money? I'm marrying him because he held my hand through the scariest night of my life. Moreover, because he loves Emma like she's his own daughter. Mr. Kane, what do you say to critics who claim you're trying to buy a family? Adrian's expression turned fierce. I say that love isn't something you can buy. Furthermore, it's something you prove through actions. Tyler Harrison proved his feelings by running away. I proved mine by staying. The press conference continued for another 20 minutes. Moreover, by the end, the narrative had completely shifted. That evening, the headlines told a different story. Billionaire's heroic rescue and the father who stepped up when Bio-Dad ran away. It's working, Adrian's publicist reported. Furthermore, public opinion is swinging in your favor. What about Tyler? Mia asked. He's being destroyed on social media. Moreover, his own story is making him look like a deadbeat dad. Good, Adrian said grimly. Furthermore, he deserves everything he gets. But that night, as they put Emma to bed, Mia felt the weight of their new reality. Moreover, their private love story had become public property. Do you regret it? She asked Adrian. Furthermore, do you regret that our relationship is now tabloid fodder? I regret that Tyler forced our hand. Moreover, but I don't regret claiming you publicly. Even if it damages your reputation? My reputation means nothing without you and Emma. Furthermore, I'd rather be publicly yours than privately alone. As they held each other that night, both knew that their love story would never be completely private again. Moreover, both knew that they were strong enough to handle whatever came next. Chapter 8. The Final Claim. The custody hearing arrived on a gray Thursday morning, exactly 2 weeks after Tyler's media blitz had backfired spectacularly. Moreover, Adrian sat beside Mia in the courthouse, radiating calm confidence while Tyler looked increasingly desperate. Your Honor, Tyler's lawyer began. My client was overwhelmed by the prospect of fatherhood, but he's ready to step up now. Furthermore, he's requesting joint custody of his biological daughter. Mr. Harrison, the judge said sternly, you left Ms. Santos during active labor. Moreover, you've had no contact with the child since birth. Explain to me why you believe you deserve custody. Tyler stood shakily. I made a mistake, Your Honor. Furthermore, I was scared and I panicked. But I love my daughter. You love her? Adrian's lawyer interjected. Furthermore, have you paid a single dollar toward her care? Have you bought diapers, formula, medical expenses? Mr. Kane has more money than I do. Moreover, he can afford those things. That's not what I asked. Furthermore, have you contributed anything to Emma's welfare? Well, no, but have you even asked about her health? Moreover, her development? Whether she's eating well or sleeping through the night? Tyler's silence was damning. Furthermore, the judge's expression grew increasingly disapproving. Your Honor, Adrian's lawyer continued, my client has been Emma's primary caregiver since birth. Moreover, he's provided housing, medical care, and emotional support while Mr. Harrison has been entirely absent. Mr. Kane isn't the biological father, Tyler's lawyer protested weakly. Biology doesn't make a father, the judge said coldly. Furthermore, presence and responsibility do. Adrian stood at his lawyer's signal. Your Honor, may I speak? Proceed, Mr. Kane. I didn't plan to fall in love with Emma. Moreover, I didn't plan to become a father at 35. But when I walked into that hospital room and saw Mia alone and afraid, I knew that my life had just changed forever. The courtroom was completely silent. Furthermore, even Tyler's lawyer had stopped shuffling papers. Emma is 2 weeks old. Moreover, in those 2 weeks, I've changed her diapers, fed her bottles, walked the floors with her when she couldn't sleep. I've held her through her first doctor's appointment and worried about every little sound she makes. And Mr. Harrison? Mr. Harrison has been busy giving interviews to tabloids. Furthermore, he's been more concerned with his public image than his daughter's welfare. Your Honor, Mia said, standing suddenly. May I speak? This is highly irregular, but proceed. Tyler left me when I needed him most. Moreover, he abandoned not just me, but our unborn child. When my water broke, he was more concerned about parking his car than helping me to the hospital. Tears streamed down Mia's face, but her voice remained steady. Adrian didn't just show up that night. Furthermore, he's shown up every night since. He's changed diapers at 3 a.m., sung lullabies when Emma was fussy, and made sure we both had everything we needed. Ms. Santos, what are you asking this court to do? I'm asking you to terminate Tyler's parental rights. Moreover, I'm asking you to let Adrian adopt Emma as her legal father. But I'm her real father, Tyler protested. No, Mia said firmly. You're her biological father. Furthermore, Adrian is her real father. He's the one who chose her, who loves her, who will never abandon her. The judge studied all parties carefully. Mr. Harrison, you've presented no evidence of financial support, no proof of emotional investment, and no plan for Emma's future care. Moreover, you abandoned Ms. Santos during one of the most vulnerable moments of her life. Your Honor, I'm not finished. Furthermore, Mr. Kane, while unconventional, has demonstrated consistent care and support for both mother and child. The evidence shows that he's functioned as Emma's primary father figure since birth. The courtroom held its breath. Moreover, Tyler gripped his lawyer's arm desperately. Therefore, This court finds that Mr. Harrison's parental rights should be terminated due to abandonment and failure to support. Furthermore, Mr. Kane's petition for adoption is granted. Adrian felt his knees nearly buckle with relief. Moreover, Mia burst into tears of joy. Additionally, the judge continued, Mr. Harrison is ordered to have no contact with the minor child or Ms. Santos. Furthermore, any attempt to circumvent this order will result in immediate arrest. You can't do this, Tyler shouted. Furthermore, she's my daughter. She was your daughter. Moreover, you forfeited that privilege when you walked away. Security escorted a ranting Tyler from the courtroom. Furthermore, Adrian immediately pulled Mia and Emma into his arms. It's over, he whispered against her hair. Furthermore, she's ours now, legally, officially, forever. Thank you, Mia sobbed. Furthermore, thank you for fighting for us. Thank you for letting me be her father. Moreover, thank you for giving me the family I never knew I needed. Outside the courthouse, Adrian held another brief press conference. Furthermore, this time his statement was simple and direct. Emma Santos Kane is now legally my daughter. Moreover, Mia Santos is going to be my wife. We're a family, and no one can ever change that. Mr. Kane, any final words for Tyler Harrison? Adrian's smile was cold and satisfied. Some fights you can't win with lawyers or money. Furthermore, this was a fight between a real man and a boy. The real man won. That evening, as they celebrated their legal victory at home, Adrian made one final gesture. Moreover, he presented Mia with new documents. What are these? She asked. Emma's new birth certificate. Furthermore, my name is listed as her father. Mia looked at the official document with tears in her eyes. Emma Santos Kane. Our daughter. Moreover, legally and in every way that matters. Adrian, I love you so much. Furthermore, I don't know how to thank you for everything you've done. Marry me on Saturday. Moreover, that's all the thanks I need. As they tucked Emma into her crib that night, both Adrian and Mia knew that their unconventional family was now unbreakable. Moreover, they knew that love really could conquer everything. Chapter 9. Forever Family. Saturday morning dawned bright and beautiful, perfect for the small wedding Adrian had arranged in his penthouse. Moreover, the space had been transformed with flowers, soft lighting, and an intimate setting for their closest friends. Are you ready for this? Mia asked her reflection in the mirror. She wore a simple but elegant ivory dress that Adrian had chosen for her. Moreover, baby Emma was dressed in a matching ivory outfit, serving as the world's youngest maid of honor. More than ready, she told herself. Furthermore, this is what happiness looks like. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. Furthermore, Adrian's voice called through the door. Mia? Moreover, I have something for you. You can't see me before the wedding. Furthermore, it's bad luck. This can't wait. Moreover, close your eyes. Mia closed her eyes as Adrian entered the room. Furthermore, she felt him place something in her hands. Open them. Mia looked down to find a small wrapped package. Moreover, inside was a beautiful locket with Emma's newborn photo. Adrian, it's perfect. Furthermore, but you've already given me so much. I wanted you to have something that represents our beginning. Moreover, the moment we became a family. Thank you. Furthermore, I'll treasure it always. There's something else. Adrian handed her an official document. Moreover, Mia's eyes widened as she read it. You changed your name? Furthermore, you're now Adrian Santos Kane? I wanted Emma to know that families are built on choice, not just tradition. Moreover, I wanted your name to be part of ours. Mia threw her arms around him, tears of joy streaming down her face. I love you so much. Furthermore, I can't believe this is really happening. Believe it. Moreover, in 1 hour, you'll be my wife, and we'll officially be a family. The ceremony was small, but perfect. Furthermore, Adrian's few close friends served as witnesses while Emma slept peacefully in Mia's arms. Dearly beloved, the officiant began, we gather today to celebrate something extraordinary. Furthermore, we celebrate a love that was born from crisis and grew into something unbreakable. Adrian and Mia had written their own vows. Moreover, there wasn't a dry eye in the room as they spoke. Mia, Adrian began, his voice thick with emotion. 3 weeks ago, I thought I knew what my life would look like. Furthermore, I thought success meant building an empire and accumulating wealth. Then you called me from a hospital room scared and alone, and everything changed. Moreover, I realized that true success means building a family with the woman you love. I promise to be the husband you deserve and the father Emma needs. Furthermore, I promise that our family will always come first, no matter what challenges we face. I promise to love you both fiercely and protect you always. Moreover, I promise that you'll never be alone again, because we belong to each other now. Mia wiped away tears before beginning her vows. Adrian, 3 weeks ago, I thought my life was falling apart. Furthermore, I thought I was facing motherhood completely alone. Then you walked into that hospital room and changed everything. Moreover, you didn't just rescue me, you chose me. You chose us. I promise to be your partner in everything, your dreams, your fears, your successes, and your failures. Furthermore, I promise to help you remember every day that you're worthy of all the love in the world. I promise to build a home with you that's filled with laughter, honesty, and unconditional love. Moreover, I promise that our daughter will grow up knowing she's wanted, cherished, and completely secure. You may kiss your bride, the officiant announced. When Adrian and Mia kissed, it felt like the culmination of everything they'd been through. Moreover, it felt like the beginning of their greatest adventure. Ladies and gentlemen, the officiant said with a smile, I present to you the Santos Kane family. As their friends cheered and Emma stirred sleepily in Mia's arms, Adrian felt a completeness he'd never experienced. Moreover, he realized that this was what he'd been searching for his entire life. Later, as they danced to their first song as husband and wife, Mia marveled at how much had changed. Furthermore, 3 weeks ago, I was convinced my life was over. 3 weeks ago, I didn't know what living actually meant. Moreover, I thought existing was enough. And now? Now I know that the best things in life can't be planned or controlled. Furthermore, they happen when you're brave enough to open your heart. Do you think Emma will remember any of this? She'll remember that she was loved from her very first breath. Moreover, she'll remember that her parents chose each other and chose her. What do we tell her about Tyler when she's older? We tell her the truth. Furthermore, that sometimes people aren't ready for the responsibilities that come with love. And we tell her that she was so special, the universe made sure she ended up with parents who would never let her down. I love our story, Mia said softly. Even though it started with heartbreak? Especially because it started with heartbreak. Moreover, it makes this ending even more beautiful. As the evening wound down, Adrian and Mia tucked Emma into her crib together. Furthermore, they stood watching their sleeping daughter, both amazed at the family they'd created. Any regrets? Adrian asked, echoing his question from weeks ago. Only one. What's that? I regret that it took a crisis to bring us together. Moreover, I regret all the time we wasted being afraid to take a chance on love. We have forever now. Furthermore, we have the rest of our lives to make up for lost time. Promise. I promise to love you until my last breath and beyond. Moreover, I promise that our family will always be my greatest priority. The end.
5 years later, Adrian and Mia watch their daughter Emma play in the garden of their family home. She's joined by her twin brothers, born 3 years after that magical wedding day. Moreover, when Emma asks about her first daddy, they tell her honestly about Tyler but emphasize that families are made by love, not biology. The wall in Adrian's office displays 3 framed items: their wedding photo, Emma's adoption papers, and a newspaper clipping with the headline, Love Conquers All, the Santos Kane Family Story. Furthermore, Adrian has learned that the greatest business deal of his life wasn't worth billions. It was worth everything. Thanks for staying till the end. I will love to hear your thoughts in the comments section.